Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow's Duality, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever for a normal cast. Not gonna yell in your ear this time. And today it's gonna be a 1v1 played on the map generator. It's gonna be a custom 1v1, not ladder, strangely enough, between some average rated players. So let's go ahead and get into introducing our players with the white player in the top corner and the red player in the bottom corner. But before we do, I would like to direct your attention down to the buttons down below. There's a bunch of them. Like, dislike, join, subscribe, click all of them. I think it'd be amazing. So yeah, have a wonderful time down there and leave a comment if you want to see anything. Up to the north, we're starting with our first player introduction, a white Cybran, which is a break from character for this player. We've seen him many times, we've seen him win, we've seen him lose. But all the same, he's fun to watch. His name is Tom Ruler, and he has gone first land. Moving on to his opponent down to the south, we have a maroon UEF going first land, whose name is RA66ITS, who I'm just going to assume the 6s are Bs, and we're going to call him Rabbits, or her. And they've gone first land, and of course, UEF versus Cybran, a classic matchup, the most classic of matchups. Gonna have to see how these players pilot their ACUs and see who can pilot theirs to victory and who will be left in a nuclear hellfire explosion thing. I don't know. But that's our players introduced. Usually it takes a little bit longer so we have some action going on, but I haven't done very many 1v1 casts recently, and this one came across my desk, and I was like, I got to cast this. It is such a good game, and it's a long one, so stay tuned. Look at that bar down below, because we all know you clicked this video just because it said Willow on it. But that bar down below, it's a long end, so get used to it and get ready, because we're going to have some fun here on the map generator as we press Control-Shift to see the mass and reclaim values. Up here in the top left, we can see about 2,500 reclaim. We can probably safely assume 2,600 was on the map before these players spawned, and they're going to be out reclaiming stuff. We have a few civilian structures on the map. These don't show up as reclaim, but if I had to take a rough guess, probably each of them is around 1,000 to 2,000 mass in reclaim. So these are going to be important, and you have to kind of manually reclaim them. So these players are going to need to get on top of that. We have a wildly different opener from each side. Over here for Rabbits, deciding not to build very much infrastructure in his base. He did a Hydro Rush, whereas Tom Ruler decided to build a bunch of power in his base, build multiple factories where he spawned, and still doesn't have a Hydro. So gonna have to see who has the better opener. Right now, the comm of Rabbits moving over to this 4 mechs clump over to the west, I assume. If not, then he's moving very far out over here. And overall, there's these 4 mechs clumps around the map, but not really mass everywhere. It's just a few mass clumps, and then after that, it's just open territory for these players to maneuver their units around and kill each other with. Overall, the ratings in this game, 1,100 versus 1,200, 89% balanced. Gonna be a just shy of a very well-balanced game, but still balanced. And overall, gonna be interesting to see what these players get onto. Over here to the northeast, we have a Mech Marine out from Rabbits. It's gonna be really fun to see how he pilots the Mech Marine. See if he can manage to get some oh-so-important engineer kills. Don't see any engineers on the horizon, but I do see a Mantis. Oh, nope, there's an engineer there next to the Mantis. And, yeah. Man, those civilian structures look really cool. Mech Marine kind of just positioning. I guess it's just waiting for an engineer to be unlucky enough to come this way. Getting a lot of move orders, but now seemingly on a patrol order. There's going to be some Mantis that show up with the expanding engineers, so I would assume that this Mech Marine's not going to get much of anything done. Over here to the west, another Mech Marine trying to be troublesome, but is going to run into a Mantis and a couple engineers. I don't think it kills, or a Mantis, an engineer, and a scout. I doubt it kills the engineer before the Mantis gets its say. The Mech Marine starts firing at the mass extractor. Gonna do some damage, but the thing is, Cybran structures, they regenerate automatically. And that means that this structure is not really going to have the issue of being at 300 HP permanently. It will eventually climb all the way back up to 500 HP. Here in the center, we have a few mantis that are flirting with the idea of attacking the enemy. When we zoom out from the map, it might look like this is a bit of a mountain range, but to be completely honest, this is completely traversable. These are just a bunch of tiny hills. So don't let that fool you. These players may be walking around them like they are a mountain. They are not, and maybe they have that misconception. We have these little ponds of water that are probably insignificant. The only thing we could see is maybe Tom Ruler decides to throw a naval factory down in one of them, and let's just go ahead and check. Can you even do so? Yes, you can. So we might see some Salem play if Tom Ruler feels like memeing, but I doubt that. The man plays his 1v1s very seriously. The Mantis are going to run into some Strikers, going to be able to trade out their lives with the lives of a couple of Strikers, and then one Mantis will run away to tell the tale. To tell the tale, I mean. And over here to the east, a bit more of an engagement. This one going much worse for Rabbits, as he's going to start losing a lot of these Strikers, and he's going to lose a Lobo and an anti-air for his troubles. A lot more focus on the tank aspect of the build order here. Tom Ruler mainly just building Mantis, whereas his opponent mixing in a lot of artillery, a lot of anti-air, trying to get a unit mix. The higher you go on ladder, the more I think you see the entire I'm just going to build tanks because tanks are what I need mentality, and then they slowly transition into building more artillery. But overall expansion for both sides going about the same. The expansion over here, though, for Rabbits is shut down, and as we check on the reclaim numbers, Tom Ruler ahead, about 500 mass reclaim ahead, which is doubling the reclaim of Rabbits at 500. 900 and or 1,000 versus 505 is a huge discrepancy. Over here on mass generation, though, Rabbits slightly ahead. Rabbits focusing on getting a few T2 mexes a little bit earlier than Tom Ruler. Tom Ruler, I don't believe, even has a T2 mex yet, still focusing on expanding, but here soon is going to run out of mass extractors to grab on the map, so going to have to be paying attention to that. Tom Ruler over here giving the manual reclaim order, at least I assume, to this engineer. We don't see it, but he is reclaiming these civilian structures. I don't know how much they're worth, but his reclaim numbers are skyrocketing, so it has to be worth a pretty penny. Probably a couple hundred, or maybe just 100 for each building, but that's going to be quite nice for his coffers. Tom Ruler now over here with the commander, going to be able to put some pressure onto Rabbits, who's all alone. In fact, if Tom Ruler realized just how much of an advantage he was in over here and how far away reinforcements were, he would be able to just straight up kill off the comm of Rabbits. I don't know how Rabbits gets out of this situation. I told you earlier that this is going to be a long match, so now we get to watch the antics of Rabbits and see if they can do some black magic to get themselves out of this situation, because as it stands, Rabbits is dead to rights over here. Just doesn't have enough units to defend the comm. There's a bunch of stuff over here. I mean, I guess you could jump into the water, but can you even make it? Is that traversable? Is that slope too inclined? Questions that will all be answered relatively soon, but either way, the comm in not a great position, going to be forced under the waves or going to be forced to explode. Go into that nuclear explosion hellscape that I spoke about a little bit earlier, which was complete bullshit, and I don't know why I said it, but I guess we're going to continue to roll with it as Rabbits continues to fight off a few Mantis. I don't know why Tom Ruler is not pressing the issue. Tom Ruler should know that this is a checkmate kind of play. Your opponent hasn't shown any units over here on the western side in a very long time. You should just be able to take over that side and be able to kill off the comm, but decides to walk away from it and send his own comm to the south. Kind of just giving up this area to the north. I think that's just a mistake out from Tom Ruler. In the middle, there's been this large push out from Rabbits, but it's only going to result in the death of one, maybe two mass extractors, as he was just out-spammed in general. Let's go ahead and take a look at the factory numbers. We currently have 12 factories for Tom Ruler. Tom Ruler really embodying the means of production, and only about 10 for Rabbits, which just kind of means he's behind. 2 factories adds up very, very quickly when we're talking the scale of about 10 minutes in production. You haven't reached 10 minutes of production yet, but You can kind of already see he just doesn't have as many units to throw across the map, whereas Tom Ruler is able to sustain units on all sides of the map. Over here to the top, Rabbit's still just kind of blapping away at all of the structures built up over here by Tom Ruler. Not sure why Tom Ruler is allowing this to happen. He has more units. He just won a huge land engagement. Could even throw some engineers over here for reclaim. I think he might be trying to style on Rabbits by saying, oh, I don't even need to kill your comm. I'll beat you by killing off all your production or something, but that seems to be the wrong mindset in my opinion. Overall mass incomes, Rabbits is ahead by a little bit, but overall mass generation, reclaim is kind of making Tom Ruler stay very, very ahead this game, as he's over 1,000 mass generation ahead. And overall, these players still trying to accrue wealth, still trying to get their production to a point where they can be happily ahead of the opponent. Tom Ruler in an advantageous position, but not an unlosable one yet. There's definitely more units on the field for Tom Ruler. We have no indication, or maybe we do. We do have a T2 land factory. The factory set up over here for Rabbits is interesting, to say the least. I don't think I've quite seen anybody build factories like this before. He's, I think he took the phrase production line a little bit too seriously. The assembly line of factories that Rabbits has it's truly incredible. Oh, man. Whereas over here to the north, Tom Ruler going more with the adjacency strategy, as these T1 tanks continue to brawl it out with each other. Yet again, I think Tom Ruler with the defensive engagement going to win yet another land engagement, gonna drop a bunch more mass over here on the front line for him to grab. We have now accruing all the way up to 2,500 mass reclaim, and he's already ahead by a little bit, and we can see his engineers, which I accidentally did that. We can see his engineers over here grabbing up a bunch of the reclaim, and they reclaimed over here as well, which there was a bunch of dead units. So overall, he's staying on top of that. There's more reclaim over here, about 1,000. Over here, about 2,300, 2,400. So overall, as long as Tom Ruler continues to take these defensive engagements and reclaim what remains afterwards, he's gonna be able to quickly slingshot to the head of the line economically, I guess, is what I was trying to say. As the production lines and the assemblies, the assembly that has been built up by Rabbits, he's now T2 land. Does he notice? Does he notice his HQ is T2? He didn't queue up anything. He didn't queue up like T2 engineers, which is what most players do. He is creating a lot of T2 mexes. He's already up to how many T2 mexes? He's up to 7. Versus Tom Ruler sitting on only 5, and that's going to be what's accounting for the extra 10 mass a second in his coffers currently. But Tom Ruler over here on the west, he is getting an upgrade on the comm. That is gun speed and range, and of course both of these players saying good luck, have fun. Both of these players using the correct internet etiquette to start a 1v1 match, a duel between varying levels of players. That is one universal. Doesn't matter what game you play. Good luck, have fun is one of the things you just say on internet games. Over here to the west, Rabbits managing to walk a comm all the way down from the south. I didn't continue to pay attention to it because it seemed that Tom Ruler wasn't really caring about it. So why should I if the players will not care about it themselves? And over here in the center, we have the center of Tom Ruler's base. We have a lot of these factories going T2. He's just stopped T1 production, which means I think if all of his units were combined, he'd be ahead on units overall, but right now he's about to take a pretty difficult fight with a lot of strikers. Luckily, his comm has speed and range, and it is sitting right here in broad daylight, ready for the enemies to come and ready to blap them down with that increased rate of fire and that beautiful Cybern gun as it goes pew-pew with the most beautiful sounds and fires upon his opponents with great hostility. Tom Ruler falling back, but this defensive engagement, yet again, defensive engagements for Tom Ruler going well. But right now it seems as though maybe he just doesn't have enough. Maybe the gun comm in conjunction with those units he had won't be enough, as Tom Ruler under threat of annihilation. His entire land force over here being swatted down and destroyed. His comm is going to rack up a few kills, but overall this is going to leave him a little bit lighter on the land forces. He does have T2 units. We can see a Rhino coming in the back line there. Is Tom Ruler a watcher of this channel? Well, I know he supports the channel and I know he watches. But the question is he going to commit the sin? The sin we don't want to see anyone commit. And no, he is not. He's going straight for Rhino production. I think mixing in flak and deceivers, even in 1v1, is pretty good. Once you hit that T2 phase, you just want the insurance, and having flak around the map can never hurt. And deceivers are so incredibly broken. If you want to get better and you want to win more games, even team games on land maps, put deceivers in your force, because it's almost as bad as the mermaid is at making engagements one-sided. Over here to the east, we have a large Mantis group going to be pushing its way into the expansion area over here, and there are a couple of PD built up and another one on the way, but if he just goes balls to the wall in on this position, he wins. It's only a few point defense. It's a couple of unwalled point defense. Mantis will kill that easily. Over here to the north, there's a Cerberus firing at a parashield, which is protecting a striker, which is a sentence I didn't think I'd be saying, but yeah, the roving band of the shield and sword. I didn't know we were playing Pokemon. But overall, the T2 land production for Tom Ruler going very well. Is he stalling? No, he's not stalling. Or at least Reclaim is able to pay for this pretty easily. And we're now seeing that he's just able to field a lot of T2 units. Currently, already, he's only been T2 for a very short amount of time. Already up to 25 Rhinos on the field. Somebody in the comments said, I wish we would see Rhinos used in mass more. Well, this 1v1 and the previous Steps dual ladder with Scooby should be the indication that, yes, people do use Rhinos in mass, and yes, it does work. As over here to the west, Tom Ruler taking over a lot of territory. Overall, Rabbit's still ahead on economy, but he has very little map control, really just hemmed in to this, I'm going to be generous and say third of the map, but in reality closer to about a quarter of the map, as he has his production line upgraded mostly to T2. I don't understand going full T2 here. And is Tom Ruler doing the same? No, Tom Ruler is not. One thing I personally like to do, and one thing I personally recommend to people, is if you are Cybran, Seraphim, or UEF, make sure you always have a couple of factories after you leave the T1 phase. Have a couple of factories make Medusa, Lobo, or Zooies. Why? Because they're broken. Aeon, Fervor, not as useful the later you go into the game. Not as useful as the other ones. The Medusa with its little stun is pretty nice, and it has decent damage. The Zooey can hover and just be an overall annoyance. And the Lobo gives you a little bit more intel when it fires. You can get that and that's generally going to be helpful. It means that, I don't know, say something has stealth, you can kind of get a little bit more vision on it for a few more seconds, fire a few more shots, and it's pretty nice to have. Over here, Tom Ruler currently falling back. He has a Rhino force, but he's going up against a force of pillars, getting a lot of kills on landed aircraft. Ooh, those interceptors not having a good time today, as they're getting shot in the face by Rhinos. And overall, the pillars are starting to come in up the rear, getting the backside of those Rhinos very hot with tank fire. But overall, the Rhinos holding the comm of Tom Ruler are going to be able to dole out a lot of damage here and be relatively efficient with the trades. If he has overcharges going out, that's going to mean that this is going to be even more one-sided. And this just creates a reclaim field over here that these players are going to want to fight over. 7,500 reclaim. That is almost enough for 2 T3 mexes. This is the area to fight for. And Tom Ruler already has engineers in the middle of it. Sure, they're not reclaiming, but hey, it's the thought that counts, right? And he has a decent number of engineers over here. He just needs to start reclaiming this area, and he could be getting up some very, very good structures for economy. He has a lot of T2 mexes paused, and he also still has a decent number of T1 mexes in the base, which is gonna be a little bit problematic, as Rabbit's over here sitting on basically full T2 mexes. He's up to 16. He only has 5 T1 mexes left, and out of those 5, at least one is upgrading, I'm sure. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are upgrading. He has 1 T1 mex left. The lonely T1 mex. And then, on the other hand, he currently has 20 T2 mexes. And very soon, I would be surprised if we don't see a T3 mex on the field. Rabbit doing much better on the economic scaling side of things. He's doing a lot better on upgrading his economy and getting a stronger economy while being weaker on reclaim, whereas Tom Ruler blowing him out of the water, tripling the reclaim numbers, and that's the only thing keeping him even somewhat close in the total mass generation game. But overall, he needs to get these mechs upgrades as quickly as possible. He needs to get T2 on his mass extractors very soon. We're gonna be seeing a bit of the diminishing returns of just being efficient with your forces, of having more forces. The fact is, more shit counters less shit, and Tom Ruler understood that in the beginning with more factories. But now he has less shit. He gets rid of a few of his support factories, the T2 ones, as he's switching over to T3 land. Has bricks now being produced with heavy assistance. Don't know if I agree with the brick call. Loyalists are very, very good, but overall bricks are also amazing. And I don't know. If he has scouting, if he knows that this is a T2 HQ, and he knows it's a T2 HQ, so he knows it's going to stay a T2 HQ. He'll be able to see when it switches. I think Loyalists are a bit better. You get more of them on the field, and they kind of deal with the T2 spam about the same as the bricks do. But who am I to judge? The one thing I will judge, though, as I say that, is no deceivers, which is kind of silly. You should just have deceivers at this point. They're so good. The power cost is minimal to the benefit they provide. Also, torpedo bomber, that has to be a misclick. He does have a torpedo bomber on the field, though, unless he was going for some kind of kill on the comm of Rabbits, which is most certainly not in the water currently. And overall, players still duking it out. Over on the western side, that engagement not going incredibly well for Tom Ruler, but now as he's going to start having bricks show up on the front lines, they will be able to sort of start pushing this back. But you have to remember, bricks less mass efficient than all of the T2 main battle tanks. So as for this moment, when there's only a couple of bricks on the field, it's going to be very difficult for him to get anything done. He needs to get a ball of bricks, about 5 to 10 of them, and just keep building on it. As the land forces out over here for Rabbits pushing out, he has a few land forces over here that would do well with a move order. And yes, indeed, given the move order, going to take out another T2 mex. A bunch of T2 mexes over here under threat, and now Tom Ruler in a difficult position, as these units over here for Rabbits just going to start causing him struggles. He's going to lose a bunch of T2 mexes over here, and then they can just wrap around the back edge, and he needs to get his bricks on it. Bricks are slow. They're going to have trouble responding to this situation. He went for a large push here in the middle, did Tom Ruler, but he just didn't have enough to stop this. And on top of that, there's a little bit of fire basing going on. There's some point defense. He was trying to maybe get these 4 T2 mexes killed with the remaining rhinos he had sitting around, but the rhinos, unfortunately, are going to die here, leaving a massive reclaim field already being scooped up of about 9,000 almost for Rabbits to scoop up off of his front line. That's going to bring the mass reclaim totals a little bit closer to parity, a little bit closer to even, and now Rabbits over doubling the economy of his opponent, and that is just the pure mass generation numbers. As of the moment, Rabbits is in a powerful position, and the onus is kind of on him now. He kind of needs to start finding a way to deal lasting damage to trying to end this game out. His opponent is on T3 land, and T3 land will get you very far in this game. These bricks are now trying to chase down the pillars throwing shots into the bricks. The bricks are going to slowly die, but the pillars will too, and the pillars will not receive any reinforcements anytime soon. So these bricks are kind of doing lasting damage to this force, but the question is, will it be enough, or will this force be able to get in and start killing off some of this infrastructure in the back? Will they be able to kill off any of these mexes? A couple of these mexes still T1. I'm not seeing any T3 mexes on the field yet for Tom Ruler. Seems he's throwing everything into brick production right now, but he needs more mass generation. He's getting a few T2 mexes around the map, but he's going to start losing mexes to this force. Maybe not. It seems as though maybe this force is diminished enough. Maybe there's been enough bricks to deal with this. That bouncer build was unfortunate. Another brick right here would have been perfect. Doesn't seem as though a massive amount of damage is gonna be done. This is just superficial damage. I don't understand. You got rid of these. There's 2,000 mass sitting right here. You almost have enough mass sitting in your base now for T3 mexes. You need to be getting T3 mexes. It may not seem like it, but when you look at the map, it's starting to look like you're falling apart, and you're gonna need economy to fight him off. Over here to the east, some more units out from Rabbits as he's getting so much value out of this T2 pillar force, and he's gonna be able to kill off probably one more T2 mex before he is taken down. This mech's down to 500 HP. And nope, it's going to survive. The server is going to deal with it, but more T2 units coming in from the south, going to be able to clean this up. And now Tom Ruler kind of in the opposite situation, kind of hemmed into this third of the map. And this time it's more of an actually a third. And he can go ahead and re-grab these mexes, but he's going to have to go through the rigmarole of re-upgrading them and re-establishing a bunch of control. He's now building Medusa over here on the western side, and over here on the eastern side trying to use bricks and a combination of bricks and T1 bombers to clean up this T2 force. His opponent, on the other hand, is getting up to T3 land now. These brick numbers, if he can get a large group of bricks, and by large I mean 20 bricks, he might end the game before his opponent can manage to get a large enough response to that, because he has air control from the looks of it. He's gotten some teched up air. He has a bunch of gunships to help him out. He has a ton of interceptors. I don't like that they're patrolling though. They're patrolling near the only air staging, which I guess they can refuel here, but he's sitting on 50. He's sitting on about 55 interceptors versus 8. So he has air control, and on top of that, bouncers will help with that quite a bit, and he does have bouncers in the mix. So these bricks could do lasting damage. He needs to use them right now, though. He's falling desperately behind in mass generation. Over 40,000 mass generation behind in total, and he needs to continue to deal damage. He has to start fighting back. He needs to turn the momentum around, and he needs to punish Rabbits for being so greedy. He has such an investment in his economy, but he just hasn't invested quite as much into high-tech units. That's what Tom Ruler decided to do instead of getting a huge economy, was get the T3 units on the field with the correct amount of production. So he needs to continue fighting this. He has a bunch of bricks now under threat by a bunch of pillars and a couple of mongoose, the sin that it is to build them. Look at that, the mongoose walking in first and dying immediately. Those mongoose may as well have been free mass for your opponent. Overall reclaim numbers as we get close to 28 minutes. 35,000 for Tom Ruler, 24,000 for Rabbits. And Rabbits continues to assault these bricks, but the bricks are just going to kind of clean it up and is going to create a nice juicy mass field here in the middle of the map. I'd like to see these engineers continue trying to reclaim over here, just send them to the east reclaiming. Now there's T1 bombers and renegade gunships out on the field. There can be some flak or some mobile AA. This force just has one T1 mobile AA. That's a juicy target. And a bunch of these bricks and some of the rhinos that are still left over from a time of much more happy thoughts is going on. There was a tactical missile launcher built here in the middle, 2,160 veterancy. Looks like it may have killed off these 2 mass extractors right here, and it may get another kill if he feels like launching again. I don't know if it's still building. It is indeed still building, but Tom Ruler in a horrible mass stall. Is he getting a T3 max? The only acceptable reason to be in this kind of mass stall is T3 max right now. If you're spending this much mass, you need so much more. He has 1 T3 max, he needs more. That's just all I'm gonna say on the matter. Over here to the west, getting 4 T2 mexes, but he's not defending it. Does Tom Ruler just not have knowledge? No, he knows about this. Zoom out, use your eyes, Tom Ruler. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself. Oh, you're just leaving yourself open. Who was the famous general? It was Napoleon who always made his left flank look weak, and then whenever they charged on the left flank, he would ambush, wasn't it? If Napoleon's left flank looked weak, he wanted you to know it looked weak. It was on purpose, and maybe that's what Tom Ruler is trying to do. He's trying to continue to create mass fields over here because this one from earlier just now getting cleaned up, but stop upgrading these mexes to T2 if that's what you're doing. You're throwing mass at something that you don't need, you silly goober. I think I'm way too much into the criticism side of things, or like the trying to give advice kind of things. I'm being too informational in casts. Down below, if you've made it this far, and we'll just pause for a second so I don't miss anything. If you've made it this far, you all think I'm being too overbearing with the advice and saying, oh no, they should have done this and whatever. Because if so, I'll try and tone it back. But since I've started doing the replay reviews, I think I've gotten more and more into the mindset of what can you do to fix it. So, yeah, let me know, and we'll continue with the replay now. And all in all, you're just another brick in the wall. All right. Brick joke. The one brick joke I can use other than throwing a brick through the window, which is just when you throw all your bricks at the enemy. Speaking of which, over here, Tom Ruler throwing a brick through the window. This area, the only area that Rabbit's seemingly having trouble with, he's firebasing on it again, but the 10 or so bricks in the area are going to go ahead and kill off these T2 mexes yet again. Or no, one of them's even T1 still, but losing those mexes, not going to be critical for Rabbits, but Tom Ruler is starting to catch up quite a bit economically, and he's just kind of starting to get that death ball of bricks. Now over here on the north, he has enough bricks to defend. He's not even going to take very much damage from this run by. So, yeah, no, this is just a waste of mass. Rabbits, you need Percivals. You need a lot of Percivals, and you need them now. As Rabbits is getting pushed, it's been very, very kind of sudden. All of a sudden, the brick count just got too damn high. He got to a fuck you amount of bricks. And he's starting to put the pressure on Rabbits, and Rabbits is knowing it. Rabbits needing to build Ravagers at the moment because he just doesn't believe he can get enough Percivals in time. He is building up a Percival ball now. He's up to 9 Percivals. But his opponent is sitting on 25 bricks, and just over here, right here, we see 13. So, Percivals do win fights against bricks, but not that hard. It's much closer to 4 Percivals beats, or on one-on-one, Percival beats brick, but the higher numbers you go, the more it just becomes who has more, and that will be the one who wins. These bricks back here for Tom Ruler, really would like to see them push forward. This is, yeah, okay. Those tactical reserves just sitting in the back, for when you forget about your units. What are our orders? I don't know. I was just taught to sit here. It's my cozy spot. I've gotten my seat warm and, oh, damn it, now I have to move again? You're gonna make me get wet? You're gonna make me walk through the water? Who do you think you are? Ah, fine. I better get hazard pay for this. I know I was designed to go underwater, but it's scary down there. There's sea monsters. I think I saw Loch Ness or some shit. It's like, it's not even a sea, Steven. It's a lake. Well, that's why I said Loch Ness and not the Kraken. Bunch of T1 bombers over here deciding to land like, oh, this looks like a nice little space for me. Oh, no. Okay, we left behind Tom, Jerry, and Billy. But that's okay because Tom, Jerry, and Billy won't die. Oh, never mind. Here come Tom, Jerry, and Billy of Bomber Squadron fucked as they are about to fly over a bunch of flak and die. Unfortunate, but certain sacrifices needed to be made, and Tom, Jerry, and Billy were the sacrifices. Don't worry, Tom Ruler names half of his units Tom. Like, here's Tom the Brick, and here's Tom the Brick number 2, and here's Tom the Brick number 4. Actually, every unit he has is named Tom, and that's why he is Tom Ruler. He is ruling the Toms. Either that, or his name is Tom Ruler because he measures things. He's a ruler that measures things in number of toms, which I'm assuming is like a 5'9" angry guy. He has the little man syndrome or something like that. Who knows? Overall, though, Tom Ruler getting a little shy with his forces. He's up to 34 bricks, which is still enough to deal with 25 Percivals, but he's falling behind because he's just not there economically. He's short in the gap. It's no longer his opponent has double the eco he has. His opponent has still just way too much eco compared to him. He needs... I think he's trying to buy time for ecoing, and I respect that, but you're going to start hitting that point where your opponent is just going to be ahead. You want to constantly continue to take fights. Right now, Tom Ruler probably should be taking a bunch of fights, mainly just keeping his units balled up and trying to force large fights with his opponent, because whenever he forces these smaller engagements, he's not winning the smaller engagements, he's winning the big engagements. He wants to try and force those bigger engagements, and especially if he can manage to force one that's defensive. Over here on the eastern side, he's gonna have a lot of bricks. Everything was fine until the UEF nation attacked. The nations lived in harmony. The UEF Percivals over here oppressing the Cybran workers, killing off all these engineers, doing simple reclaim jobs, and also killing off all of the factories that were building Medusa, which were just here to be moral support for the bricks. UEF, not known for their care for therapists. Over here to the east, that's a bunch of T1 bombers, and that's disrespectful. Tom Ruler has a bunch of interceptors, but they're on a smoke break. By that, I mean they're on fire, smoking, and taking a break. And that smoke break is entailing of them watching a bunch of their units die on the front lines. This fight going pretty even so far. We have Percivals and bricks on both sides fighting it out. I can't tell who's winning, but I think with the reinforcement benefit right now, the Percivals will eventually win. But the Medusa, the unsung heroes here, are going to be pouring a lot of damage down, and the only real good solution that they have to the Medusa are these Mongoose and Pillars, because the Percival's not efficient at trading with Medusa whatsoever. These bricks going to be cleaned up. Over here on the northwestern side, this area that's been a sore spot for a long time for Tom Ruler, now under threat by a large group of bricks and Percivals, and I don't know how this keeps happening, but Tom Ruler, man, like, if you were intentionally creating reclaim fields up here, good on you. Like, that, I guess that's a decent strategy. It seems to be working. But, now you're risking real shit. Because you're finally catching up economically, and now there's... How many Percivals is this? There's 10 Percivals that can come in, and 10 Percivals definitely one blap T3 mexes. You're about to lose a lot of economy, and you really can't. This is gonna be tough for Mr. Tom Ruler. We have more tactical missiles out. Does he have TMD? No, he just doesn't. Interesting. What's this tactical missile going for? Oh, the engineers. That was not an efficient tactical missile. A tactical missile killing one T1 engineer feels real bad. Okay. We do have T3 air out for Tom Ruler, and that is something we should keep our eyes on because his opponent is at T2 air and he's not even really interested in building it. But no, Tom Ruler is about to just lose all of his T3 mexes, which is, well, maybe not all of them, but it's going to be very unfortunate. Strat bombers and T1 bombers coming in, trying to help stem the bleeding over here. Corsairs now being produced. But overall, he's just going to lose a ton of infrastructure over here. He's under threat of losing his T3 air HQ. He's under threat of losing his normal land HQ, and that would be absolutely game altering. But this push coming out from Rabbits hopefully is the kick in the pants that Tom Ruler needed to realize that, hey, I can't keep letting him come down this left side of the map and kill me. I don't know if the Strat Bombers are doing more harm than good at this point, because it seems their AoE is causing tons of damage to the Cybran structures. The Strat Bomber going to be dropping again. We have Corsairs about to be out on the field, if not already out, to help deal with this. Strat Bomber comes in, kills off another Percival. More Percivals going down. Huge reclaim field, biggest we've seen yet, of about... Wait. Was this the prophesized mass reclaim field? Was this the plan all along? Was Tom Ruler a mastermind? Rabbits kills off the T3 mexes and some of the support factories, but the question is, at what cost? Because guess what? Tom Ruler now has a reclaim field exactly the size of the cost of a Monkey Lord. Do we see the fabled bait into Monkey Lord? The monkey bait. As that that name even hurt me. Do we see the fabled monkey bait on this fateful day? Are the prophesized times coming? The answer is no. I doubt it's a monkey bait. That's a new FAF term, by the way, where you bait your opponent into a fight and make it look like you lost just to create a reclaim field big enough to build an experimental. Man, both of these players kind of like, they take turns. I've just noticed they're just taking turns forgetting that the left side of the map exists. This western side, they both just kind of take turns with like, we don't know it exists. Whoa, holy shit, where'd these Percivals come from? Apparently Percivals was flanked around this side of the map too, so, oh my. Yeah, Rabbits, the monkey bait strategy did not work out well because Rabbits is just destroying the rest of the T3 mexes. Tom Ruler back down to half the economy of Rabbits, and it's not looking like it's gonna get much better. Tom Ruler needs to start protecting his flanks, because right now he's getting shivved in the kidneys, and he's just not dealing with it very well. He now has units over here on the west side. They're both kind of taking turns. They keep on forgetting that one half of the map exists. They're getting very focused in. I think both of these players are suffering from the zoomed too far damn in syndrome, or not watching the minimap syndrome. Now, admittedly, there's a few Strat Bombers on the field, and that should start making Rabbits a little bit nervous, because he has T3 air now, but he hasn't really built anything with it. I'd like to see the Strat Bombers trying to go for some economic damage. 2 Strat Bombers, or even, I don't know if it's 2 or 3, but 2 or 3 Strat Bombers is enough to break through T2 shields pretty easily. But sitting over here and taking T1 AA fire is not the way to do it. Alright, let's go ahead and check in on the reclaim numbers. Tom Ruler sitting on a staggering 93,000 reclaim, about to get past that 100,000 mark, and he has enough in his base to pass the 100,000 mark, so we will be seeing that. 324 mass a second for Rabbits, with currently 38 Percivals on the field. And that seems to be the only thing of note. I don't see anything massive going on besides that. No nukes, no even anti-nuke. but does have tele defense, surprisingly. Tom Ruler, on the other hand, sitting on 39 bricks, so keeping up with the Percival count, both of them around 40 T3 assault bots, but just massively behind economically. He's got half of the economy of his opponent. It's not looking good for him. Is he stalling mass? I would assume he is. 533. Yeah. The big number to be negative. You don't like numbers. If your bank account was looking like that, you would be very, very upset. What I'm trying to say is don't trust Tom Ruler with your finances. Because the man is over here. He's got a credit score of like 103. He's proud. He's proud about it. He's like, it's not double digits. I still have a triple digit credit score. Look at me. I'm doing well. That's Tom Ruler at the moment. That's his economic situation. I have a lot of international viewers. Do you all have credit scores in your country? Is credit score a uniquely United States thing? Other than the social credit score, like the Chinese one. If you're Chinese, you don't need to tell me. Also, if you're Chinese and watching this, please tell me. Please tell me if you're Chinese and watching this, because, like, I am so curious. I don't think I have any watchers from China. I'm so curious if I have any. And if so, why? Why FAF? I don't even see Chinese people playing FAF. I assume it's banned, but still. These players still duking it out. Still massive brick fights, but I don't think T3 assault bots are going to end the game, funnily enough. It's starting to get to the point where both of these players are kind of been dealing with T3 assault bots for a while. Trebuchets. I like this addition of trebuchets. Have there been trebuchets for a long ass time? There hasn't there? I'm just an idiot. Ignore me. Tom Ruler quickly shooting up in economy though. Up to almost 300 mass a second. His opponent just past 400 mass a second. So Rabbit's doing good economically. Rabbit's still pushing in over here and still getting mass extractor kills, but at this point, killing T2 mexes while using a bunch of Percivals and losing them isn't worth it. The only thing he's done here is force Tom Ruler to use a little bit more APM, but Tom Ruler he's rebuilt mexes for the better part of an hour now. He's been rebuilding his mexes. So he's pretty good. And Tom Ruler has even identified that shit I was talking about, where I was like, these players keep on forgetting that the left-hand side of the map exists, or the right-hand side of the map exists. Tom Ruler says, you don't attack me on the right side ever. He has 4 basically unprotected T3 mexes on the right side. Being a mad lad, metagaming it, but is it going to come back to bite him in the ass? Because it just takes a few Percivals over here. And we've seen that 3 or 4 Percivals are pretty much invisible, as Tom Ruler does not notice them. Do we have anything going on? We're at the 46-minute mark. The question is, what next? I'm expecting to start seeing some experimentals fly up on the board. A large air grid being built up by Rabbit. We might even just see Rabbit go for an air snipe, as he is building one hell of an air grid. Tom Ruler probably wants to scout. Like to see a T3 scout out from him. Currently focusing more on strategic bombing than scouting. He's rapidly upgrading mexes on the western side to T3. He is trying desperately to keep up with his opponent on the mass side of things, which he's at 400 mass a second, but he has 14 T3 mexes. He's not decided to upgrade any of the side mexes except for these. Yes, let's just double check. He's up to 14 T3 mexes. Tom Ruler sitting on 13. So where is the extra mass coming from? Does he has mass fabricators? Does he has? I do English well. I mean, I do English good. That's the grammatically correct way to say that, ain't it? He's going for a quantum gateway, which is that is a way to transition into the late game. We have a megalith on the way. Does Tom Ruler have much in the bank? He has enough in the bank to maybe finish the megalith. He needs to just keep on fighting. He needs his bricks to hold out long enough. The megalith can kill so many Percivals as long as he does the micro on it correctly, and we have no reason to suspect he's bad at the fighting micro. Over here to the eastern side, though, he's losing a bunch of his T3 mexes to broadswords, and he doesn't have the Air Force to keep up with his opponent. Rabbids may just win by virtue of going for the air grid right now. Rabbids has been so ahead on eco this entire game, and now we're gonna see megaliths showing up on the field momentarily. This megalith flying up in HP, already up to 50,000 out of the 110,000 HP required to finish a megalith. He's halfway done with it, but is he going to be able to finish it in time? He's going to start trying to build some T3 anti-air. He has some scattered around to other points of his base, but he's losing so much economy trying to get caught up in this game. T1 mexes ringed with mass storage. I know why he did this. He just queued this up idly and probably thought he was building T3 mexes, but you gotta notice stuff like that. You gotta go look at your base and notice that, like, even zoomed out, this looks wrong, and you should notice it. But overall, okay, he's trying to keep the anti-air alive by repairing it, which is funny. Tom Ruler gonna start building an air grid, but is it too late and is it too little? The megalith now nearing 80% completion, about to pass that point, is gonna be online momentarily. Over here to the west, did he just have enough bricks to win that fight? We looked away from it because of the broadswords, but it looks as though he had enough bricks to win that fight, and he has 38,000 reclaims sitting over here. He can get another megalith. He can do the megalith production facility over here near his base with all these T3 as long as he just gets more engineers out here reclaiming. Tom Ruler, what's in his bank right now? He's up to 7,000. He needs to start another experimental. This is his way back into this game, and he starts a Soul Ripper. That took the wind out of my sails. I'd love to know the reasoning. I would love it if Tom Ruler down below, and I know he's gonna watch this, could give me the reasoning as to why Soul Ripper. Is it because you could build it quickly? Because this is just a mass donation waiting to happen. You don't have air control. If you had scouted anytime recently, you would know that, but you haven't scouted. Scout more! Because your opponent is just so incredibly ahead of you on air production. That Soul Ripper is not going to fare well. The broadsword count is getting ridiculous. It's to the point where you need air control or you're going to need a stupid amount of, like, bouncers. You're going to need a whole bouncy castle worth of bounce right now. Because, you're going to need a trampoline complex to deal with this many broadswords. Flak would be the call right now. I don't know. Bouncers or flak. Flak, you get more of them faster. You get more DPS faster with flak. It's more mass efficient flak to deal with the broadswords. But the bouncers are also just very good and deal with the broadswords pretty well on their own too. I think building nothing but bouncers right now will work because of just the situation we're in. Wow, this is greedy. Okay, this is greedy. Rabbids has been eco-whoring the entire game, but he's been neglecting units, and now he's starting to get like a bunch of broadswords out on the map, and like he's starting to have units, but like if he had just stopped at any point eco-whoring and just thrown everything into units in the last 20 minutes, like if he just stopped ecoing for within the last 20 minutes and thrown everything into something that will win the game, I think he wins. But now Tom Ruler is sitting here and he's like, I don't know what to spend my mass on, it seems. He seems he's having trouble. Well, I mean, no, he's not. I'm just being an idiot. He has a Soul Ripper, but this is just a mass donation. It gets one past. I mean, I guess maybe it's a mass donation to himself, because there's no way engineers are going to walk up to a megalith and be like, aight. But, what now? Build me another experimental, damn you! Do we see, like, nuke or any? No, it's just, he's using all of his eco to build more eco, which eventually you hit the point of diminishing returns. You need to have things, because right now your opponent has things, and those things are megaliths, bricks, and bouncers. He's gonna be walking forward, but I don't think he even has enough Percivals here. He has 27 Percivals. His 27 Percivals aren't gonna take on a megalith and 15 bricks and bouncers. Bouncers have DPS. They're not the greatest, but they still do damage. The megalith gonna slowly start killing off these Percivals. Admittedly, the Percivals are very close to the megalith, which is not what you want. You want the megalith further away. Running the megalith away is the wrong call. You stand and fight here. Standing and fighting is the only good call here. I don't know why he's running away. I don't know if Tom Ruler is super knowledgeable on the Cybern experimentals or how to use them. Megalith, most of the time, if you get caught out and they're right next to you, don't try and run away. You are more likely to survive if you stand your ground, unless it's against like air or something. You're so much more likely to survive that situation if you stand your ground and just take out a few more Percivals with the megalith quicker. But this reclaim field is fucking huge. Let's just hover over his base. Or let's just hover... Okay, we're getting in territory of Scathis. How much does a Scathis cost? I don't remember. It's not ridiculous. 220,000. He has half a Scathis on the ground right here. In this area, as I said, there's really not much Rabbids is going to do to contest this. There's a megalith and a bunch of bricks over here. That's some strat bombers. It feels like we're getting close to some form of finality, but at the same time, it feels like this could go on for another hour. These mass extractors not being upgraded is killing me. He's building mass fabs, and he's not upgrading these mexes. It's so much faster to upgrade the mexes too. To get all the mass fabs. And now, yet again, we're getting to the point, like, you have 200 more mass per second, but that's not translating into more units currently. You have less units, it would feel. Like, I feel like you have less map control and less units with more eco, which is, I mean, I guess it's fine, and you're building support commanders to try and get some stuff done, but you're building RAS commanders, and you're still building mass fabricators. I don't understand what... Rabbids doesn't have a plan for ending the game. He just has a plan for his investment portfolio. He's a by the numbers kind of guy. He understands that mass good, and that's about as far as he's gotten on his economic education. He hasn't understood that mass is useless if mass don't kill bad things. A second megalith is done, and mass-producing megalith seems to be Tom Ruler's strategy to win. I mean, this megalith's probably going to die to a bunch of Ravagers, but the megalith is also going to kill a fuckload of things. Okay, yeah, he's going to have to walk the megalith away, but that... I mean, this megalith is going to walk away. He's going to have more. Mass megalith has never been a bad option. And that's what Tom Ruler is going with. Okay. Strat bombers used to kill that megalith, but he's already in the reclaim field, and he has engineers more in position to get this. He has another megalith he can send down on this western side to kind of protect this. He stopped building megaliths, which makes me worried. I think that was just an issue with the SMD, where he built the SMD and then he was struggling. But he's going to have another megalith on the way. How's his eco looking? He's having trouble spending it. Without the megalith production, he has trouble spending his eco. Even with the megalith production, he has trouble with it. I think that might also be chalked down to the fact that he has 2 reclaiming engineers on this Soul Ripper wreck. He doesn't have a lot of bricks left, so it really is megaliths or die, but his opponent is still using Mongoose against him, which is choosing die. He's starting to get up a huge air force. Wait, is Tom Ruler just ahead on air? Tom Ruler has 44 ASF versus 22. Tom Ruler is just ahead on air. Now if he builds a Soul Ripper, it'll make sense. Over here to the east, another broadsword's coming in. It will eventually die to the Sam. There, and also if he just notices and sends ASF, that'll deal with it. One T3 mech is going to go down, unfortunately for Tom Ruler, but this strat bomber won't get anything more. The megalith walking right in on a bunch of Percivals, not necessarily the best call. The megalith continuing to fight. Another megalith on the way. First megalith about to go down, but every time a megalith dies for Tom Ruler, he has another to replace it. I guess you can say the same about the land army for rabbits. He's producing Percivals incredibly quickly with all of these support factories. And hot damn does he have an economy. Hot damn does this boy know how to eco. 729 mass a second. It's starting to get to the point where it looks like he needs to kind of come up with a strategy or something to build. But the mass Percival seemingly working well. The bouncer switch up is looking really bad, and he's still building a lot of bouncers. You don't need bouncers once you get air control and you have air control. He has a ton of strat bombers he's going to start using to kill off all these Percivals to the north. Another megalith on the way. Massive amounts of megalith being produced. The best experimental. Gonna be made en masse by Tom Ruler, switching up to a Soul Ripper. But overall, the megaliths, while they haven't achieved any kind of like large land victory, they have kept him in the game, and he is just he's not going to be able to outproduce his opponent. He's never been economically ahead, but the focus on building certain units has really helped Tom Ruler stay in this game. Now, Rabbits needs to pick one strategy and go with it, and it does seem as though he's going mass Fat Boy. I'd like to see the megaliths for Tom Ruler link up, both of them at full HP, which will be nice for him. I like how when you zoom out, you get the special model for the Brackman. The Brackman megalith. Fat Boy in the background there, completing 4 rabbits. The megalith formation. What? Move them next to each other, damn it. Let me get a cool thumbnail. Damn you, Tom Ruler. Didn't you think that maybe this would be casted? Give me good thumbnail opportunities. I need to clickbait. Alright. Over here to the east, large group of Percivals going to be pushing out to the east. More Fat Boys on the way, and they're going to be thrown up quick. And Tom Ruler, he's going to start building up a big bank of mass again, and he's starting to get up ooh, I like this. This is one of the most efficient things you can do to produce T3 units very well. We saw Icy Nightmare do it in his carry game. The greatest of all time cast, if you were curious about that. But it makes it very efficient to produce units, and he's going to stop producing, I think he has a templated. Yeah, he does. He's going to stop producing them for a little bit. The megalith are they moving in herds and trying to head north, but now that there's a fat boy on the field, I will assume that Tom Ruler will change his tone a little bit. Up here to the north, there's a bunch of Percivals pushing into this area. There's a Soul Ripper on it, so I don't believe that's going to be significant. I think the best thing for us to look at right now is the double megalith pushing in on this. It's such a beautiful sight to behold. That first megalith in the front going down into the red, going to be taken down momentarily, but there's still a second one on the field. Another fat boy has finished up though, and that's going to mean that the volleys of fire coming out from the red UEF in the southern side of the map are just going to start getting overwhelming. The megalith over here for Tom Ruler going to be going down, as well as the first one did, is going to be able to target that onto the fat boy if he feels like it, but kind of deciding the worst of all options and just turns the megalith around as the double fat boy is starting to take a toll on his army. Another megalith done. There's still a Soul Ripper in the sky starting to rank up, get some veterancy on that for himself, as he's just killing off a bunch of Percivals with a Soul Ripper, which is basically free veterancy. And his Percivals aren't cheap, and killing them without being attacked back is generally going to be nice. But overall, it's starting to look a little bit desperate. I don't know how Tom Ruler is going to come back from this. He has cloaking on the comm. I think that's more of a defensive option. He's not gone for anything like laser. And we have to wait and see what these players are going to do. There's still a lot of experimentals on the field. We have Mass Fat Boy versus Mass Megalith. I'd like to see Tom... I kind of wish Tom Ruler wouldn't have been so aggressive with the starting Megaliths. And Tom Ruler reclaiming like a madman. God damn. Tom Ruler sitting on 352,000 reclaim as he continues to be focused on this. It's such a good habit to have, is this build T1 factory simply for reclaim, because it pays itself off so easily. And we're starting to see that here. 100,000 reclaim is nice out from Rabbits, and you usually would say I got 100,000 reclaim in the game, that's good, but he's just getting blown out of the water by Tom Ruler. Of course, he is ahead by over 100,000 mass generation total this game, but Tom Ruler also has just been more efficient overall. Megalith going up against Fat Boys over here. This Megalith in for a rude awakening as the triple Fat Boy rolls in on its position. Is going to manage to kill off one of the Fat Boys. Another Megalith, I think, coming up in the rear. Yep, another Megalith completed. This Megalith starting to go down into the red as it continues to fight the Fat Boys and fight the Percivals. It's not going to be enough. Does manage to remove one of the Fat Boys from play before it's going to be inevitably taken down. And now the Percival and Fat Boy army is starting to push in on Tom Ruler's position. He's starting to feel the pressure. He's starting to be squeezed. What is his response going to be as these units continue to plow their way towards the main base of Tom Ruler? Is it going to be enough out from Rapids? Does he have enough Fat Boy Percival? Does he have enough units to break through this? There's a lot of bricks, a lot of bouncers. Another Megalith is on the field, and this Megalith is going to be chasing down the Fat Boys. The Fat Boys running out of Percivals to stand in front of them. Is this Megalith going to be able to chase down those Fat Boys? I think that Tom Ruler should try and chase them down. I think sitting back and letting the Fat Boys run away is the wrong call here. And he seems to agree with me as he starts to push forward. As the fire rains down on the megalith, the explosions taking their toll on that gigantic frame of a unit. The Fat Boys creating just a zone that is impossible to walk through, and more Fat Boys constantly on the way. We're up to 4 Fat Boys, and we're starting to get to that point where you just can't attack this from the ground. You can't attack this many Fat Boys from the ground. They don't even need an army to stand in front of them, because by the time your army walks up to them, your army is dead. Tom Ruler seemingly exhausting all of his options. He's still getting a ton of reclaim. There's still this graveyard of experimentals. But I think it's starting to come down to Tom Ruler just not really able to assail the massive economy and the massive production and build power coming out from rabbits. He's down to only 100 mass behind his opponent. It's been a long time since I've been able to say that. But it's been so long that it's just this Fat Boy push looks like I don't see how Tom Ruler stops this. He's gonna have to start building Gunthers. And he's gonna have to start building Gunthers across the map if he wants a chance of this, but he's getting up a ton of T3 land production. Maybe that'll be his way out. He's getting up another megalith. I think he's stalling on mass. No, he's not stalling on mass. He's able to spend his mass, though. Another megalith gonna finish. He has a line of Gunthers going across the map now as more and more Fat Boy continue to be completed. But is it too late? The incredible firepower of the Fat Boys coming into play here. The incredible amount of fire able to be laid down. Now, of course, Gunthers are going to be built at a ridiculous pace now. There will be a Gunther finished every second. If that's what Tom Ruler wants, that's what Tom Ruler will achieve. And now we're starting to see Gunther fire coming in. The Fat Boys starting to throw damage onto the megalith, and they have to fire at the megalith. They can't fire at the Gunthers. They can't fire at the engineers. They have to fire at the megalith. So if all of these Gunthers get built, if they continue to mass build Gunthers across the map, these Fat Boy are going to have this zone of denial where they can't walk forward anymore, and it's just going to become this very turtley, standoffy kind of situation. The megalith going to go down to the mass amount of fire of the Fat Boys. The Fat Boys going to be forced to turn around and turn tail, but they're going to be able to kill off so much before they have to. There's now enough Gunthers here to deal with one Fat Boy. I don't know about 4. I don't know the math on that, but you need about 7 Gunthers to kill a Fat Boy. And he has about that many here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's about to have the 7th. And that is if there's no outside influence and if the Fat Boys are just firing directly back at the Gunthers. Another megalith on the way. I like the Gunther play, and I like that he's still trying to do it, but it's starting to get a little bit difficult. The Fat Boys are pushing in. The Fat Boys are attacking. They're riding over the corpses of megaliths and bricks, trying to get into the main base, trying to deal that critical damage to Tom Ruler that he's been trying to deal for the past hour. And 10 minutes almost. Is he gonna be able to do it? Is this the final nail in the coffin for Tom Ruler? These questions and more to be answered within the next few minutes as the Fat Boys move in. If all of the Fat Boys die, then this is going to almost assuredly mean we're here for another 15 to 20 minutes. But if too much of the production dies in this, then the Fat Boys will have won the game for Rabbit. Still 5 Fat Boys on the field, still 5 Fat Boys fighting it out. And these players have played an epic match. They have fought over the hills and through the valleys. There's been decision after decision made, but it seems as though Tom Ruler, at the end of the day, is going to lose one of the most hard-fought games I'm sure he's ever had, as the Fat Boys feel the Fat Boys' overwhelming firepower is rained down upon his base. Is there any response from Tom Ruler? Any last ditch effort? Any miracle play he's gonna try and pull out of his hat, out of his playbook? Because these 5 Fat Boys were the play that Rabbit pulled out of his. Laser now on the way, but for a very long time Rabbit has had tele-defense. The telemazer simply will not work. Overall, looking like the match is over. Maybe if Tom Ruler had gone for a snipe earlier, he's had the overwhelming air advantage for most of the game, and I think a snipe was the right call over trying to beat his opponent on the field of battle. But the only snipe he's going to attempt is going to be a failed one, as laser and teleporter will not work. At this point, we just need to see if he is the laser cowboy of the prophesized times. See if he is capable of coming out with a victory here. It seems as though it's not going to work. Maybe this is just laser cloak to try and walk out of this pond. It does seem to be laser cloak. Doesn't seem to be laser teleporter. But what is the goal here? Even if you get out and you kill all of the Fat Boys with this, what would that achieve? You still have a strong economy for most players, but you're still dwarfed in comparison to the economy of your opponent. And Tom Ruler putting on a great fight, but gonna be crushed under the weight of the imperialist UEF before him. It was a well-fought game, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit as he walks to his inevitable doom. The sad part about this is he may not even be able to kill the Fat Boys, because the support commanders do have Omni Sensor. The Fat Boys do not, but the support commanders do. And he might be getting pretty fucking close to one right now. The ACU is walking in. The ACU on hold fire from the looks of it. He's trying to sneak in so he can get shots directly on the Fat Boy. An honorable goal. Oh no, now he's getting shot at. He's been noticed by the support commander. He turns off hold fire and he starts firing his laser. Is it gonna be enough? No, it's not. And now, with that turn of events, we have to congratulate Rabbits for playing an amazing game. I know it was on a somber note there at the end, but I am, of course, biased. I was rooting for the Cybran. But in the end of the day, we have to celebrate these great games, and Rabbit played a stunning game. Thank you all for watching. If you liked it, then like it. If you disliked it, then dislike it. If you want to talk to me, comment down below. Join the Discord if you're interested in getting part of the community. Join the channel membership or Patreon if you want to support me in that way. It does make this channel a lot more of a priority in my life. Thank you all. Beautiful.